To study a new unit, that is unit number 12, the Canterville Ghost. So I would like to request to all the students to please take out your book, page number 124 of English literature. The last classes we had, in which we have been completed unit 11, all exercises and question answer, and word meaning also given. So I hope that you all have written all the things in your fair copy. Now today we will move towards the next and the last. This is the last chapter of our syllabus. So make me sure that you all have taken out this page. Okay. So you are very excited for studying about ghost. Have you seen anybody ghost? Ridhima?
Hello.
Yes, Ridhima.
Hello. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Okay, Ridhima, can you tell me what you know about ghost?
Ma'am. Hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, ghost is. Hello.
I'm listening. You tell. Okay, you do not know. Okay, let me ask you any other. Himnesh.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Yes, Himnesh.
Ma'am, according to me, the ghosts are spiritual objects which appear on anyone's death who is when he is killed by anyone, the person becomes a ghost.
Killed by anybody, killed by anyone, he becomes a ghost. Okay. So have you ever seen any ghost in your house or anywhere?
No, ma'am. In dreams, I have seen.
You have dreamt. Okay. See, the chapter we are going to have here, there are two twins, Lewis and Clark. They have seen the ghost. So they are not going to have a fear of ghosts. Even they gave a fear to the ghost so that the ghost has run away from the house. So the new types of story related to ghosts we are going to study. So thank you, Himnesh, for your answer.
Welcome, ma'am.
See, students, Canterville ghost. Canterville, actually, it is a villa, a house. Okay. So this is story of the ghost who is living in this Canterville. Before starting the lesson, let me explain you the characters here in this story. First of all, the first character is Lord Canterville. Who's Canterville? You know, this Canterville is belongs to this person. And after that, we have the second character, which is of Mr. and Mrs. Otis. So Mr. and Mrs. Otis, you know, they are the wealthy, middle-aged and American couple. They are American couple. They are very rich and lives in America. Okay. After that, Mrs. Umni. Mrs. Umni is the old keeper. Okay, old housekeeper of this villa. And then after Washington, so Washington is the oldest son of this couple. Okay, Washington, the oldest son of this couple. Virginia, daughter. Virginia, daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Otis. And then after the twins, they are also the youngest member of this family. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Otis. And finally, we have the ghost. Okay, so Lord Canterville, who is the owner of the villa, and then after Mr. and Mrs. Otis, the American couple, the rich family, wealthy family, Mrs. Umni, the housekeeper of that Canterville Chase, and then after Washington, eldest son, Virginia, middle child and Otis daughter, and then after the twins, Lewis and Clark are the youngest member of this family, and then finally the ghost. So we are going to have these character in our story. See, Oscar Wilde was an Irish writer, poet, and dramatist who was famous for his wit and flamboyance. His most famous work include The Happy Prince and other stories The picture of his Darion Clay, the lady Wildermuth fan, and the importance of being honest. So these were the important work of the writer who is Oscar Wilde, who is poet, writer, dramatist, and a storyteller writer. Okay. Now see, the Canterville Ghost is a well-known story by Oscar Wilde, widely adapted for the screen and stage around the world. This story is has much taken the heart of the people so that it is somewhere staged as well. Okay, it is a ghost story with a different. Here we have ghost story, but the style, the story is somewhere different. And generally, we have a mind. We have made our mind make up regarding ghost. So something different we are going to have here. See, instead of fear, and tension, humor rules the story, and instead of intimidating means students frightening. Frightening, frightening. So says that instead of fear and tension, humor rules the story, and is instead of intimidating humans, the ghost is intimidated by humans. So intimidated means frightening. So here we are going to have instead of frightening humans, the humor is used by the writer, and according to that humor, we can see that the ghost was intimidated by the humans. So they do not have fear of the ghost, but the ghost have the fear of the humans. That is why last he had left the house. Okay. So far, no one can, no one has insulted him in this way. He has finally met his match in a spirited, unafraid American family, and frightening them seems almost impossible. So according to Ghost, he says he thought that the American family, the rich and wealthy family, educated family, so it is very impossible to make them frighten him. So that is why it is better to leave the house. Now that was all about the summary. Now let us begin. List of character I told you. Scene one at the Canterville Chase. So we are going to have scene one inside the house. See, Lord Canterville, I am really pleased you to buy Canterville Chase, but there is something you have to know. Between the first character, Lord Canterville, appears in the very first scene. So he told that there are something, if you're going to buy this villa, so there are something that you must know. Mr. Otis said, okay, if you insist, he does not have any interest to know about that, but as he told that, he says that if you insist, you can say. He says, yes, I do. That's this ghost scene. Mr. Otis, a ghost, don't you talk about it. Lord Canterville, I fear that the ghost exists. I think you should listen to your family, to our family story. When we talk about Lord Canterville, so here in these lines given by him, it they shows that they have fear by ghosts. Okay, they believe in ghosts, so that is why they have fear. They were intimidating by the ghost. Who? Mr. and Mrs. Lord Canterville and their family. But while we are talking about this American couple, the very first line he says that I do not, I do not have any types of interest to listen, as well as I don't believe on that types of story. See, Mr. Lord Canterville says, "You, I will tell you what happened to my grand aunt the Dowager. Dowager is the, a widow of Dowager is a widow of high social rank with a title or property derived from her husband. Okay, so that is why he's talking about his grand aunt. Okay, Duchess of Bolton. His grand aunt was Duchess of Duchess of Bolton. Bolton. Okay. So he just wanted to give the story of his grandmother, who was dowager of Duchess of Bolton. The side of the stage where Mr. Otis and Lord Canterville are standing is darkened. On the other side, it is lit up. So when we're talking about the stage, there are two types of side. Here, one side where the both people were talking about, that was darkened. Okay, that was darkened, but the other side of the stage was lit up. There was light. There was light. So you can divide this scene into two conditions. Okay, sounds of a woman screaming are heard. In the same time, the sounds of a woman, maybe that woman is the grand aunt, or we do not know, is not mentioned. But as he has starting telling the story of his grand aunt, a sound was to be heard. Okay, the butler and the housekeeper led the duchess to the chair and give her drink to water. She sits down. As he's saying the story that when she entered in the villa, then she heard such types of sound, and then after she, she started fainting. And anyhow, she led to a chair, and they give who the grand aunt was given to drink a glass of water. She sits down and she somewhere terrified by listening the voice. Okay, Duchess says. Duchess means uh, grandmother. So she says, "What? Please do not leave me alone here. Take me away from here." She screams, "Get away from me! Do not touch me! Get your clammy hands." Clammy means cold. Clammy, that is what? Cold and damned hand. So the grand aunt, what is that? Grand aunt, not sorry, that was not grandmother, that was grand aunt. Sorry. So grand aunt was talking about that. Please do not leave me alone. She was saying to the maybe attendants and all those who might be there with the grand aunt. So she was pleaded them not to leave there alone, and then take me away from this villa. She was somewhere requesting to them. Get away from me, she says. To get away, we do not know that she's talking to and to making get away to whom, but she says, get away from here. She was terrified and saying this word, to get away from me. Do not touch me and leave your clammy hand from my soldier. She thought, she felt that some cold hand was kept where on the shoulder of the lady. So that is why she was saying like that. She was in frightened condition, saying not to leave and take away her from there, and then after, do not leave my shoulder, and then don't touch me and get away from here. So these things she was saying. Who? The Duchess means the grand aunt of Lord Canterville. So that was the story of her. Then after, what happened? Housekeeper. There was housekeeper. My lady, calm down. There is nobody here. Look around you. So there was housekeeper to whom she was saying this thing. He was making them to calm down and saying that there is nobody here. Means the housekeeper was not seeing anybody there, not listening anything but the grand aunt. Now Duchess sobbing. Sobbing means like that doing. No, so she was sobbing, a slight weeping you can say, and then says that thing, it had its own bony hands on me. There, there is something bony hand was somewhere, hanging on me. I didn't notice at first. I thought it was draught. Draught means unrush and unpleasant to cold air. She says that in the very first when I entered, I could not find anything. I heard and then I thought that was a draught, a rush. The cold air can be, but then I saw those skeleton hand. When I saw, I had to believe what my seeing. I had to believe on my seeing. Okay. The Duchess screams again and faints. While seeing these things, she screams a lot, yelling a lot, and then she faints silent. Okay. The side where Mr. Otis and Lord Canterville are standing is lit up. See, that was the stage, So in this side, Lord Canterville and Mr. Otis. Okay. Whatever thing he is telling about his aunt, that was visible in this side of the stage. Okay. So all the things that was darkened, and then here things are visible. The story is telling by Lord Canterville. So till here things are clear to everybody. Okay. Lord Canterville, my grand aunt was so frightened that she never recovered from the shock. And then after, now this scene is vanished. Again he came and then saying to Mr. Otis that from that shock she never come back from that incident. Turn the page. Okay. Mr. Otis, and you want me to believe when he listening, while listening all the things, he answered that you want that I should believe whatever story you are making and saying to me. Lord Canterville, Mr. Otis, the ghost has been seen by several members of my family. Then he was making him forced to believe that not only by my grand aunt but many members of my family, the ghost had been seen. None of your younger staff with, would stay with us. Lord Canterville often got very little sleep at night. Sorry, Lady Canterville often got very little sleep at night due to the mysterious noise that came from the corridor and the library. Two special places are mentioned here that from the corridor and from the library, some mysterious noises can be heard by Mrs. Canterville, Lady Canterville. Mr. Otis, so you are saying that I should believe on that? Lord Canterville, we have not cared to leave the place ourselves. It gives you strange, scary feeling. So as you are going to buy this villa, whatever things has happened here, my duty is to tell you. Okay? Mr. Otis, my lord, I insist I will take Canterville Chase with the furniture and the ghost included. So when we read the lines of Mr. Otis, we find that he was somewhere brave enough to fight anybody. Okay, he does not have any types of fear or intimidating by the ghost. So he told that including ghost as well as furniture, I will buy this villa. Lord Canterville. Well, at least you have been warned. Now, what to do? You decide. Mr. Otis. Hmm. We come from a modern country. We do what we want. Please underline this line, is very important. We come from a modern country. We do what we want. We have money and everything that money can buy. So, American family, rich family, wealthy family says that we have come from the modern family. We have money and money can buy anything. Lord Canterville, what is your point, Mr. Otis? My dear Lodge, we would buy the ghost itself. Is there were such a thing and placed in such a museum? So for it words, maybe that you have traveling ghost so means he says that if there is ghost, I will buy it. So in the way you are saying with the story, we will also enjoy while seeing these things. The story you had given us. That Lord Canterville, if you do not mind the ghost in your house, it is quite all right with me. But let me tell you at last, the ghost had been around for 3 centuries here. For 3 centuries, ghost had been there. Okay, in this house. So it is not easy for the ghost to leave the house as you all are going to be there. See, and it always makes its appearance before the death of the family member. So he make his appearance to the family member who had been died. So says that always makes its appearance before the death, means the person who is going to die before dying them he was given them its appearance. Clear? Okay. See, Mr. Otis. Well, so does the family doctor Canterville. Lord Canterville with a knowing smile. All right, gentlemen, Canterville chase is now all yours. So without this much discussing, now he has given the key of that villa. Now it is there. So here scene two is started. Now first scene in which we have a conversation between Lord Canterville and Mr. Otis. Okay, there we have that a background story in which there are two types of scene on the stage. The first scene, the darkened scene, in which these two characters are talking about the ghost, and here also he has given a description of his grand aunt who was Duchess of Bolton, okay, who was dowager, and then while listening all the story, he came to the conclusion that still there is ghost. He would buy the villa itself. So that was all in scene one. In scene two, in the library of Canterville Chase, Mrs. Umne enters the library. Which is Mrs. Umne, the house, the old housekeeper of Canterville Chase. She was there. She entered the library, followed by Mr. and Mrs. Otis, Washington, Virginia, and so all the family members, including Mrs. Umne. Tea is laid out on the Otis family. They are settled down, trying to get the feel of the old mansion. Suddenly, Mrs. Otis noticed that what looks like a blood stain. Okay, Mrs. Otis noticed that there was blood stain. She noticed something there in the library. Okay, Mrs. Otis, I am afraid something has been spilled there. While seeing that blood stain, she said that I am afraid that something has been seen there. Mrs. Sumni, in a hushed voice, she was, afraid of that thing. Yes, madam, blood has been spilled on the spot. So, what is seen? That is the blood. Mrs. Otis, oh really? I really do not care for blood stains. I want it removed at once. And she was also like her husband. Mrs. Sumni, in the same hushed voice, that it is the blood of Lady Ileron of Leader Ileron de Canterville, who was murdered on that very spot, on the same spot that was the lady was murdered. The lady's name was Ileron de Canterville by her own husband. Her husband's name was Sir Simon de Canterville in 1575. 1575, there was a lady who was murdered by her own husband on the same place. Clear? And then 9 years after the murder, he disappeared rather mysteriously. And after the murder of means 9 years after that murder, the husband, got disappeared. His body was never found, lowering the voice, but his guilty spirit still haunts the chase. So Sir Simon D. Canterville, who had murdered his own wife, his body, he was somewhere vanished after 9 years of that murder, and then after his body was never found, and he has been guilty for that, and he only haunts in that villa. So in today's class, we will finish here. Next part we will begin tomorrow. So students, till that time, thank you.